Today is September 6th. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com, presented by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey. Rammer, we got baseball starting in about a half an hour down at Busch Stadium. Cardinals and Nationals. And I talked about this with Claibs earlier. It's funny how different, how quickly our feelings on a season can change. Because back in July, if the Cardinals would have put up a performance like they did Monday, we'd be wanting jobs. We'd be wanting people fired.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you kind of look at it and you go, they were due.
Well, it's like you and I have talked about it many times before, and that is when you're playing good baseball, the nature of the big league game is the test of the team is the 162 games. Nobody wins 120 or 30 or 40 or 50 games. 100 is almost outlandish. You know, you can do it, but 100. So you're going to have clunkers. But if you've been playing good ball, you have a clunker. And then the Cardinals talked about it after the game last night. Yeah, we'll show you what we got tomorrow. They know they'll get right back to it tonight and be ready to go. It's just the nature of the game. You're going to hit a clunker, even if you've been playing good baseball.
You know, they say baseball is a game of inches. Yesterday, you could go back and you can look at that third inning, and it's a game of feet. When you look at that third inning, Nolan Arenado flies out to the warning track. Albert hits that ball into Big Mac land, but foul. Mm-hmm. And then Corey Dickerson flies out to the warning track. Again, and that, just a few more feet, that's 3 home runs right there. Completely could change the makeup of the game. Didn't happen. Nobody was hitting yesterday. Oh, well, you move on. But you want to look at a bright side. We've talked about it. Whatever you get out of Jack Flaherty is a bonus this year. He was pretty good.
He was pretty good.
5 innings in. Pretty
good. And, on the radio show, somebody had texted in about, it's against a bad team. So you wanted him to be bad?
Right.
He did. The schedule is what it is. So the key is, I agree with the texter, and it's it dovetails into what you're talking about. And that is, one game, bad team, but he had command, he had velocity, he got strikeouts, he got some swing and miss stuff. And so I think you and I agree, okay, so far so good. We'll see you in 4 days.
Yeah, and you know what? He earned himself another start in those 4 days. Go out there, earn it again, because here in a couple weeks, you are going to face some better teams. He's going to get 2 starts in that stretch where they play the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Brewers. In those, I would think he's going to see 2 starts during those games. All right, you know what? Warm up against these teams. Warm up against the Pirates this weekend or the Reds. And then when you do face those teams, let's see what you have, and let's see if we feel comfortable putting you on our playoff roster.
Yeah, get back to who you were a couple years ago.
So I'm going to read the Cardinal lineup for you today. I do think there is a little bit of a discussion that I want to have as far as the makeup of the lineup going forward right now. But here's what things look like. I did have it up right now, and it looks like the website crashed on me. So I'm going to have to go to a different source, Rammer.
It'll be Nootbaar, Donovan, Goldschmidt, Arenado, Dickerson,
O'Neill. It's here. Nootbaar in right, Brendan Donovan at third, Paul Goldschmidt at third, Nolan Arenado DHing, Corey Dickerson is in left, Tyler O'Neill is in center, Nolan Gorman is at second, Andrew Kisner is behind the plate, and Tommy Edman is at shortstop with Jose Quintana on the mound for the Cardinals. Baseballpress.com/lineups has completely crashed on me, so I don't have the Nationals lineup in front of me.
So, what's your point about? You wanted to make a point about the lineup moving forward.
So, with Arenado DHing today, I get it. The Cardinals are up 7.5 games right now in the Milwaukee Brewers. They are trailing the Mets by 7 games for that 2 seed. Albert Pujols is 5 home runs away. Start him against righties, against whoever. At this point, I think they have a comfortable enough lead where Ali Marmol can start him in situations that he would not have started him back in June or July, because I want to see Albert get to 700 home runs. they have a good enough lead right now. I think you can throw him out there whenever he's ready to play or whenever you do not need to. Because yesterday, you had Goldschmidt DH, you had Pujols at first. Today, you're letting Arenado DH. I don't think either one of them gets a day off until something is clinched and you know exactly where you're going to be in the postseason. Outside of that, let Pujols swing. Give him as many chances to get to 700 as possible.
I don't really buy that argument, putting a guy ahead of the team, but here's where I support your point. You've got a guy in the lineup that's not as good as him right now in Nolan Gorman. Until you've got 9 other guys that are better than him in a given matchup, I'm with you. And the way he's swinging the bat now, I come from a different direction, but you and I end up at the same place. He should be playing.
And right now, Nolan Arenado getting the day off today from the field. So with Donovan at third, you're putting Gorman out at second. So
so I wouldn't have done it. I would have kept I probably would have kept Gorman out of the lineup and keep Nolan in there until I get a more favorable matchup. So they need to be off today, tomorrow. Give him a DH day here, when he needs it. Unless there's something we don't know about. Hey, Skip, I got a little bit of an ouchie back or I got a hamstring barking. Okay, we'll get you out today. But if that's not the case, if they want to give him a day, let's find a better way to do it.
So I give him as many at-bats. That's where I stand from. Give him as many at-bats. Let the home crowd see him hit as many. Maybe that's what you do. You give him as many home at-bats as possible. On the road, you only hit him against lefties because you want him to get 700 in front of 45,000 at Busch, not against 17,000 in Cincinnati.
I hear what you're saying, and that would be nice, and it would be on my priority list, but it wouldn't be my number one priority.
All right.
Is that enough of them? Can we meet there?
We can. You know what? I'd like to manage again. I'd like to, maybe not manage against you, but
no,
I'd like to market against you.
I defer to you.
I'm trying to help the wins. We do have Jose Quintana on the mound tonight. Another thing that Claibs and I were talking about earlier today, that right now, when you do look ahead at the postseason, and you look right now, 4 weeks left in the season, 7.5 game lead. Right now, you are looking at that. You're going to be home in the playoffs in that wild card round. Best of 3, all at Busch Stadium. I think you have Michaelis and Wainwright are your 1 and 2 in whatever order you want to put them out there. The Cardinals have a decent problem on their hands right now, figuring out who goes game 3. And I would say Jordan Montgomery right now, but I think Quintana and you know what, Flaherty, if he keeps pitching the way he did yesterday, maybe he works his way into the discussion there for that third game in that wild card round.
I see it a little differently. If it ended today and we, with a month of pitching left to go, who knows who's the hot guy and who's not? I would go Wainwright, Montgomery, and then with the idea of starting that I sweep and that I can get Michaelis first game of the next round. But if I need him, I got a tough guy who won't fold for game 3 in St. Louis, so that I give Michaelis and Wainwright the opportunity to both pitch at home. But I like having a lefty in between. Between those 3, though, if you want to flip them, that's okay with me.
Well, all three of those games are at home, so that's
what I'm saying. But if you want to flip it and have Michaelis 2, and then Montgomery would start game 1 or finish up game 3. I think I'd prefer him game 2 and a guy with more experience like Michaelis for game 3. I think that's how I would lean. And because then I got Michaelis either in a pressure game 3 at home or a pressure game 1 in the next round.
We will, again, we have a month of baseball left to go before we get into those discussions, and still a lot to watch change. As far as the standings go. It's going to be really fun to see what happens in the NL East, as the Braves are now 1 game back of the Mets for that.
They're going to catch them. They're going to win it now, I think.
And that's the difference between being having to play a wild card 3-game, win 2 or go home, and having that first round off and getting to set things up for that best of 5. That is knowing, the Cardinals, the spot that they're in right now. I think you kind of look at it and you don't really worry about it as much if that's where you are going to be, instead of possibly losing out on that. Similar to, what we saw last year between the Dodgers and the Giants. It was either win and get the 1 seed or have to play in a win or go home game in the wild card.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll see how it plays out. The Braves are an unbelievable story. What an organization. And we'll talk more about that to see if they win the division, but how a year ago they had to go out in the market and find bodies. This year they found bodies that they needed in their own system. And so they can play it different ways. It's just a great organization. I really admire them.
Yeah, the Cardinals and the Nationals, again, game starts here in about 15 minutes. The Nationals lineup, I do have it now. Lane Thomas in center. Joey Meneses is in right. Luke Voigt at first. Nelson Cruz DHing. Keibert Ruiz behind the plate. Luis Garcia at second. Alex Call in left. Ildemaro Vargas is at third.
Sure it is.
What was that?
I said sure it is.
Yeah. CJ Abrams is at short, with Paulo Espino on the mound for the Nationals.
Do you think anybody's ever called Meneses Bull Run? Are you a Civil War guy?
I'm not. No, sorry.
Battle of Bull Run. The 2 battles of Bull Run. The South. The place is Manassas. Manassas Bull Run. Never mind.
There. You know what? There's people out there watching and listening to this that understand what you're saying, and they're nuts. Yeah, they appreciate that a lot more than I do. I can tell you that.
I'm not sure I do either, Joe. I think I'm with you.
Enjoy the game, everybody, tonight as we wrap up Daily Cards Live, presented by Mungenast St. Louis Acura and Rammer, your friends at Royal Banks.
Royal Banks of Missouri. Call them 314-212-1500. That's where you'll find a great banker that is there to help you find the right banking product to meet your needs professionally or personally. Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking.
Only about 10 home games left on the season. Make sure you get your tickets and possibly witness history down at Busch Stadium. He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. We will see you tomorrow.